This is the Elsa Kurt Show.
Oh, hey, hi. How are you, Clay?
I'm good. How are you? You surviving the cold?
Oh, barely, barely. How did I not schedule a Florida trip for this nonsense? I should be like trapped there, not here. Yeah, we're getting through. How about you? Did you guys lose power or any of that stuff?
No power.
Nice. Same.
Greater Chicagoland area is prepared for this. This stuff is kind of normal. We had bits and pieces of snow, inch here, two there, three there, whatever.
Mhm.
Brutally cold.
Yeah.
In those like -5 wind chill,
Mhm.
-30, like just stay in the house kind of days. Like
Yeah.
but other than that, I mean, it was there was no catastrophe here.
Yeah, same. I found it kind of, enjoyable in the sense that I didn't have to go out in it for any reason whatsoever. Everybody was nice and cozy at home. My poor husband did have to go out and do the snow plow thing and the driveway and everything. We do have somebody that comes and does it, but the guy's got commercial accounts too, so we know who's taking precedence. So it's all good. It's all good. I say that because I wasn't the one doing it. He asked me Monday morning. He said, because it continued on to Monday. He said, gets all his gear and he starts getting ready to go out there. And he says, you want to come out and help me clear off the cars? I said, oh, honey, no. I will have a nice hot meal for when you come inside the house. I will even take your shoes, your boots off for you. I will serve you, but I will not go outside.
And you know what? I think just about every guy on the planet would take that as a trade.
Right?
Seriously. Like,
I mean, that's totally fair. Like, listen, I'm not going to be sitting inside just chilling and, having a party, watching TV and doing whatever. I'm gonna make sure you're all taken care of, my friend. So,
yeah, you
yeah.
come into a hot bowl of stew or chili or soup or
Yeah.
something like that. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'd take that. I'd take that and trade every time.
Right? Absolutely.
for
So
sure.
he agreed that was a very, very fair exchange. And, so it was all good. Everybody plays their role and everybody's happy. I mean, I don't know if he was necessarily happy about it, but he was agreeable to it all because he's a good man.
All you can ask.
Good man. Oh my goodness. Well, my guys, it's just the two of us here. We got a great show ahead for you. We got a whole bunch of topics to talk about. Lots going on. What else is new? But we will bring it all to you. Right. I wish I'd planned that better. I skipped over to a spot here, but whatever, guys, it's all good. Anyhow, we're going to be starting up right after this.
Every week brings another headline, another outrage, another crisis, another apology. But the real story isn't what just happened. It's why the same things keep happening again and again. This show isn't about chasing the news. It's about understanding the patterns shaping our culture, the consequences they leave behind, and how we can stop being pawns in the social political games. Together, Elsa Kurt and Clay Novak slow it down, connect the dots, and tell the truth. No spin, no theater, and no apologies. Welcome to the show.
It's funny. I gotta throw this in real quick before we get started. A year or two ago, if that had happened, I had one of those moments where things weren't just going as smoothly as I anticipated for them to go. I would have felt like this wave of panic, like, oh no, something didn't work right. And I got to be honest, don't you just feel so casual now? It's like, so hey guys, technology doesn't work sometimes. And, last week was one of those cases. Our show didn't air when it was supposed to because our streaming software, not blaming them, things happen, glitches happen, especially lately, a lot of glitches on all kinds of fronts. Something happened and it didn't air. And I was homesick in bed. Clay was cheating on me with another podcast.
A last minute request to jump in with another podcast that I've been on a few times, and they just do it's cops and soldiers, and we all sit on and we tell stories, and it's a good time. And so they asked me to pop on and fill in last week at the same time our show aired, and
Right.
So I did what I did. I came downstairs to my little space and jumped on with those guys and had a good time. And and the next morning, I checked social media and I was like,
what happened?
I checked Facebook and I didn't see anything. And then I checked YouTube and I didn't see anything. And I texted Elsa and I said, hey, I don't know if our show went on last night. And you told me you were homesick in bed. And
Yes.
lo and behold, the show never went on.
Nope, it did not. So sorry, guys. Listen,
apologize.
like I said, things just happen. Listen, I don't think the world stopped turning because one podcast show did not air at their scheduled time. But I know our committed, wonderful fan base, friend base. I hate saying fans and I hate saying followers because it just sounds, I don't know. But anyhow, thank you guys for being patient with us and hanging out the next day when we did air it. So yeah, so we're not going to have that problem this time. I decline that problem. All right, all of this stuff and nonsense and things out of the way. I guess it's pretty much a given that we're going to be talking about this right off the bat. This is obviously a huge ongoing conversation with lots of repercussions and conversations happening about it. An ICE raid targeting an illegal immigrant with a violent history who fled turned deadly when agents fatally shot Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old VA ICU nurse in Minneapolis. Again, Minneapolis. Sparking massive protests, surprise, surprise, and a federal probe into whether it was an accidental discharge or excessive force or justified or so many ors. And we already know one side is saying this, another side is saying that. Then there's people in the middle that are doing the logical thing and saying, hang on, let's wait until we get the whole picture here, the whole thing, and let's use a little bit of discernment and common sense and reason and all of those things. And guess where Clay and I come into the picture? Right there, kind of in that middle ground. I don't know about you, Clay. I definitely have a lean toward where my perspective is. Certainly, I think that's normal and natural. My lean to, of course, is that I have a hard time calling Freddie a victim. He put himself, again, like Renee Good, put himself in a situation that he had no business being in. His actions and choices were deliberate and combative, and things you just, as someone with an ounce of sense, you just do not do. So his behavior and his actions were illegal. They were impeding. He had everybody's making a big point that he's a legal carry, gun holder. He's legal. He had a permit and all that stuff. He didn't, to the best of our knowledge at this point in time, as of right now, we still are under the impression, you correct me if I'm wrong, Clay, that he did not declare at the time that he was armed, that he had a weapon, which is something that you are required to do. It's just comments. My goodness, even if you weren't required by law to let agent know, a police officer know that you are armed, it's just common sense too. Like, it's common sense. So
yeah,
go on with this. So you go ahead, Clay.
Yeah. So up front, folks, multiple things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is probably my biggest problem with this entire incident is that both sides of this, whether you're, pro Preddy or if you're pro, federal law enforcement, DHS, there are too many people that are going straight black and white.
Right.
Go, listen, Alex Preddy dying is a tragedy. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Okay. It's tragedy. It is an avoidable incident for a number of reasons, and avoidable on both sides. Avoidable, like you said, Elsa, he made some decisions that got him there, just like Renee Good. And we talked about that last week. There were some circumstances and an interaction between him and the ICE agents that could have been, truthfully, handled differently,
Mm-hmm.
right? That led to him being shot. There are two, agents right now who have been suspended pending investigation. As you know, as an LEO wife, anytime there's a shooting by a law enforcement officer, almost every single time, immediate suspension pending investigation, right? That is normal procedure. It is not a statement of guilt. However, you've got two guys sitting at home who are wondering if they're going to be criminally charged,
Mm-hmm.
if at a minimum their career is over, if they're going to be stigmatized, if their family is at risk. There's a lot of things going on for those two individuals, which truthfully is also tragic, right?
Yeah.
Some people will say without any remorse, without any sympathy, that they get what they deserve. And on the flip side, if you were of the opposing viewpoint, you said, well, Alex Preddy got what he deserved, then there would be this explosion and people would be at each other's throats, and then nobody would be speaking rationally about what happened. And I think that is our biggest problem at this point. I think unlike the Renee Good incident, which in a very short period of time we had plenty of video evidence of exactly what happened. And
Right.
even a lot of people who had an opinion initially that she was completely innocent and blah, 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 blah. If they were rational and they saw the film footage within 12 to 24 hours, they looked at it and say, yeah, she hit him with the van. And everybody the whole situation kind of ratcheted down. Unfortunately, this situation doesn't have that. The video footage that's out there is cell phone footage. It's grainy. It's from multiple angles. It's been modified. I've seen multiple AI modifications of this. And people don't have a clear picture of exactly what happened, exactly the timing of the shots, etc.
Right.
There are a lot of holes in this, like you said. Alex, and listen, folks, I'm a concealed carry holder. I've had a concealed carry permit in multiple states. I've taken multiple courses in multiple states to get certified. Okay. There are, and every state is different, but I did look up the Minnesota statutes, and I will tell you that Alex Preddy, by not having his concealed carry permit on his person, was in violation of the law, right? That is one of the number one things they tell you in every concealed carry course. If you get your license, you have to have it on you. Two, he didn't have a second form of government-issued identification on him, right? Because he is following the rules of the agitators, which they tell all of these people are told, don't carry any identification on you.
Yeah.
There's two things. Third, anytime you're approached by a law enforcement officer, and again, folks, state to state, some states, you don't have to declare, right? If I'm a concealed carry holder in certain states and I get pulled over by the police and I've got a gun on me or in my vehicle, I don't have to tell them unless they ask, right? Some states, you have to. You are bound to declare. He chose not to declare, which he was well within his rights to do. But again, rational people are few and far between on this issue. I think you and I also are looking at this rationally. I think we both lean towards this is a tragedy that could have been avoided by better choices by a whole bunch of people, but there are still so much information that we don't know at this time. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm, you probably do too. I've got family and friends that are way on the opposite side of this. And the reaction to this is it's Charlie Kirk like in the sense of the visceral reaction that people are having as this thing has happened. So I would just ask everybody, try to remain rational as this thing unfolds, please. And I've seen grown responsible adults. I've seen retired general officers from the military step in the middle of this with an opinion that they have no right to do. And again, it's one of those, I'm general retired so-and-so. Like
I
trying
know
to
the things.
Yeah.
My
Okay,
authority
sir.
says that I
Go.
know.
All right. So please, everybody, just remain rational as this is still kind of unfolding. I have questions myself. I have opinions myself, and I'm remaining as rational as I possibly can about Alex Preddy, about those agents that handled this and how they handled this. I'm not vilifying anybody, but I certainly have a lot of questions.
No, I'll tell you what, here's who I will vilify, though, because I will vilify them every single day until there's something that changes with that. I will vilify the media, the mainstream media, for their many, 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 many atrocities against the entire country, the world, basically, for, just inciting and encouraging this type of divisive POVs, on all of this. And instead of calling for this, what we're doing here, which is saying, take a step back, take a pause. And, I really like what you said that, several things can be true at once. And, and that is, this is a case of exactly that. Many things can be true at the same exact time in this case. I do have the video, and I have to tell you, I watched this multiple times. I don't think I'm going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play a portion of it here, just to give, if anybody has not seen it, just to give you an idea of the chaotic scene that was happening here. So here's this. And you got multiple people here. This person's dragging that person. Somebody's blowing a damn whistle. People are yelling and arguing, all that stuff. Somebody yells, gun, gun, gun. I'll stop it here. You get the idea. Somebody at some point yells, gun, gun, gun. And, exactly what you think would happen in that moment with that level of heightened awareness, adrenaline, all of the things that are going on in this moment. And the moment that you hear gun, that's a reactive moment right there. There's, several people like slowed it down and, are claiming, I can't tell anything. I'll be honest with you. I cannot tell anything that's happening there. And I watched it several times. It's just none of it is very clear to me, to be perfectly honest. It does appear that it looks like Freddie is reaching to his back pocket. Could he be trying to get purchase or to push somebody away? Is he reaching for a gun? All we know after the fact is that he did have a weapon. So, terrible, terrible, terrible decisions. Good intentions or not, in his mind, in anyone's mind who's doing the things that they're doing. I know that they truly believe that what they are doing is noble and right, and they're just wrong.
Yeah, like you said, so there, the press is at fault in this in many cases because they're using that inflammatory language, right? I've seen executed or execution multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
That is a blatant misapplication of that word, and it brings a specific connotation for people as they read it, right? Alex Preddy was executed by right ICE agents or DPS, right? That is a connotation that is horribly untrue, right? That is not what happened there. And so you've got people using that type of language, which are passing judgment, and they're trying to shape the narrative of what happened. That is a significant problem. You can ask yourself the question, because I know the word helper, he was just there to help. He was there to, okay. So I'll play a little bit of a game, right? He is a VA, ER, right? Or ICU nurse, highly trained medical person, right? I am ultimately curious, and unfortunately we'll never know the answer, but I'm ultimately curious why someone like that, who, if they truthfully had it in their heart to go there to help, would be there without a medical kit. Why in the world would someone with that training choose a gun versus a first aid kit?
Right.
Okay. And this is
I'm sorry,
right?
go ahead.
Listen, I carry both, to be honest with you. And I'm not a medic. I've got, combat medical training. I can stop bleeding. I can put on a tourniquet. I can, pack some gauze and stop some bleeding. But I actually carry two just in my truck, right? One I can grab and go, one that's a little more for cuts and scrapes and burns kind of stuff. But like he chose as an ICU nurse to go to something like this with a gun and not an aid kit, right? So that begs some questions right there. Again, we'll never know why, unfortunately, because he's dead. But for everybody who has said, well, if ICE wasn't there, this wouldn't have happened. I can turn around and I can tell you, well, if tens of thousands of illegal immigrants weren't there, then ICE wouldn't have to be there and this wouldn't happen. Or if there was an inflammatory language by the governor and the mayor and the police chief and all of these people encouraging people to stand up to, have physical contact, fight against, go to war with ICE, this also probably wouldn't have happened.
And that is precisely the type of language that they are actually using.
Exactly right.
These are the words that are being said and inciting already emotionally fragile people who have lost all sense of, reason and just discernment and ability to pause, to think and be rational about anything. They're highly encouraging this type of behavior. Why? Because it doesn't hurt them. They're not the ones. I mean, there's see the one with the walls literally standing behind his gate, telling the people, the crowd to, whatever he was yelling at them to do. But, from the safety of behind his gated home, the irony of that is just, it should be mind-blowing to anyone and everyone.
And listen, even in a place like Chicago, where just a few months ago, these same types of operations were going on, the police department was working in cooperation with DHS, right? And what the police department was doing was keeping people like Alex Preddy back away from the operation. They were keeping the crowd at bay. They were doing crowd control to allow the DHS agents to apprehend people like this
Right.
piece of garbage that they were going after.
Violent, criminal, illegal alien. This is what they were trying to protect and deter and stop, agents from getting out of the country.
But in Minneapolis, up until last night or the night before, there was no police cooperation. The police had been told not to cooperate with ICE. They've been told not to cooperate with DHS agents, right? So they weren't doing crowd control as they have been in other places that prevent things like this from happening, right? And so when you've got that, and listen, folks, we can Monday morning quarterback this all day, but the reality is that when you've got, and I know this because this is exactly how the military operated when we used to run military operations in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years, right? You set a cordon, we called it, right? That pushes the people back. They keep them away. They keep security around the area while you go into a building and you grab whoever it is that you need to grab, right? And that's what local police have been doing wherever DHS has been. That is not happening in Minneapolis. So the crowd gets close, right? And you've got the DHS guys, and they're going in there to apprehend a violent person. And all of a sudden, you've got somebody from the outside that's trying to step their way in, and tempers are high, and adrenaline is running, and all of these things. And again, it's a tragedy. But there are so many components that go into this that just blaming ICE is very myopic. It is intellectually dishonest. Truthfully. You are lying to yourself. Absolutely.
Just watching, like I said, just watching that video and how chaotic those moments are. And I'm watching that as a comfy, warm, cozy observer from behind a screen, just watching it. And I feel confused and chaotic. And I've watched it in, regular speed. I watched it in slow motion. Now stop for a moment and imagine this is all, with probably under a minute a time that this will happen. I mean, seconds, really, and there is this massive amount of chaos going. You are immersed right in it. And you have already, as DHS and ICE, whoever the case is, you have just spent the past however many weeks and months being physically attacked and under the threat of physical attack for just doing your damn job. Okay. And now you have this guy coming in and literally barging them. Now he's in the process. He was going to be getting arrested. I mean, he was being arrested for interfering. So he's non-compliant with arrest. He's fighting them. They discover that he has a gun. Somebody cries out, like I said, that there's a gun. The officers are all calling to each other. He's still not compliant. At no point in time did he say, whoa. Okay. So, did he ever just stop and comply? Never does that. Gunshot goes off. I'm looking at this, reading like the timeline here. The fact is that they have to make these decisions in a split second because that is how quickly these things go down. Not from, like you said, not the Monday morning quarterback thing where you get to sit back and watch the replays and, make these analytical assessments, from the comfort of your couch. And the truth is that those decisions, they don't have to be correct. The law of self-defense does not require them to make perfect decisions. They have to make decisions in the moment. And I challenge anyone to be able to, to do that in a moment like that. And I don't care how much training that you have, de-escalation training, any of those things, when you are in the midst of a moment like that, like we just watched, it is all reactive. And again, so highly preventable. Like you said right off at the top, it is completely tragic. What a tragic waste for someone who, by career choice, was probably doing wonderful things in life and, made a really, really poor decision.
Your point about the chaos of what was going on, I'll tell you, unless you've been in a gunfight before. It is, I have a hard time with people who criticize, any law enforcement officer, any military member, anybody who's in a real live life or death chaotic situation like that, and then you roll back the clock and you sit there and you make judgment on them. But I will also tell you that every single one of those situations is different,
Mhm.
right? Every life and death situation that every one of those agents has ever been in has been different, right?
Right.
I can promise you, those 6 guys, 5 or 6 agents that were attempting to arrest him,
Mhm.
had never been 5 or 6 guys trying to arrest one person
Yeah.
at the time before, right?
Right.
So
Right.
they're all right. This is not, 6 guys who live and breathe and work and they're shoulder to shoulder together. They're never more than 5 feet apart, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, and have done this
Mhm.
60, 70, 80 times in training. I can promise you that specific chaotic incident is the first time that has happened to those 6 guys as a collective,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
so again, level of training is, I won't say it's irrelevant, but
Mhm.
there's another set of variables that go into that. And
Yeah.
folks, again, I'm not making excuses, but I'm trying to provide some rational thought to this.
Yeah.
As it went, it
Mhm.
is tragic. If it turns out that one of those agents acted irresponsibly, acted in, outside of the SOPs and whatever training that they have, and they were in the wrong, I'll be the first person to say, okay, they found what happened and they're holding somebody accountable, and
Right.
that's good.
Mhm.
We just don't know right now.
No.
So, you and I, Elsa, we can go back and forth on this thing for another
Mhm.
hour if we really want to.
Oh,
But
easily. And I'll tell
yeah,
you, the last thing I do want to say on it, though, is, as with every single one of these things, your timeline, your social media timeline gets flooded with all of these memes and fake reports and quotes. There was one that I right away just put into a search to find out the validity, which was that the parents, I don't know if you saw that one, that his parents, were, there was like a big long thing, and actually only one thing turned out to be true about it. But basically, the parents were, he was fired from his job, and that he's a cross dresser or something, and that, all of these crazy things that the parents were very upset with him and disowned him because he chose to do this. And I think the only thing that had a grain of truth to it was that the parents warned him to not participate in this stuff. And I still don't even know if that's 100% true. It was just multiple, sources basically said the same thing. And it seemed to be reputable that the parents did speak to him about his decision to be there. But everything else so far seems to be, pretty much BS. So be careful what you repost and what you take as the gospel truth in
Yep.
any of these cases. It's like, just either say and do nothing with it, or if you feel so compelled to share it and post about it and comment on it, like, just take the extra minute and verify as best you can if it is true. And if you're still not sure, don't do it. Like, come on, we just need to be a little bit better here. Yeah, preferably a lot bit better,
Yep.
right?
For
Oh,
sure.
we can move. I mean, this also, everything just kind of, a lot of this ties right in. Let's move right into this. You brought this up, Clay. As I've mentioned in the past, Clay is our topic guru, and he picks them, and I am so thrilled that he does that for me, for us. So yeah, this gave me pause for thought to really sit and think about it. The nationwide protests after events like this, what we were just talking about, have people asking if disorganized unrest could morph into a full-blown anti-police or anti-government insurgency, especially with armed groups, because that's what we're seeing more and more now, more of these armed citizens showing up at these protests and all of these things. So yeah, I mean, I want to hear your thoughts on it, Clay.
Yeah. So I sent Elsa, there's a write up by a former special forces warrant officer. And I've had this kind of bouncing around in my head and I really couldn't articulate it. And he did a great job of putting all of this together. But for those of us in the military who spent the last, 20 years, not just fighting against, but studying insurgencies so that we could fight against them, we have been seeing there's a lot of expertise out there, right? Current and former military as far as insurgencies go. And what a lot of us are seeing, and some of us are really talking about out loud, is that we are starting to see many of the things that we studied and saw in both Iraq and Afghanistan. And so part of it, some of the indicators that we're starting to see are, and we've talked about it in various pieces and parts, right? Part of it is funding. we've been talking about this since George Floyd. We've been talking about this since the riots during COVID, right? There is a funding that is behind these protests, right? And it's the, it's the pallets of bricks that show up out of nowhere.
The perfectly crafted signs,
Right,
protest
signs that are
Yeah.
across the nation, right? That are exactly the same in 18 different cities, and they're printed and they're free. And you've got riot shields made out of garbage cans, and you've got all of these things that just suddenly show up, and they're all being paid for by someone, right? So the financing of this is an indicator that this is becoming more organized. Communications is the next part, and apps like Signal, like Pilot, like even like WhatsApp, which isn't very encrypted, but it is. There is evidence being found that these groups are using these apps to communicate and send information about, hey, this is where the next event is, right? There is a rumor out there, and folks, this is unconfirmed, but there is a rumor out there that there is a Signal group that is organizing a lot of these anti-ICE, anti-DHS protests in Minnesota. And the rumor is that I've heard they use the lady's same name, but it's either the lieutenant governor of the state is an admin, or it was a woman who worked on Governor Walz's campaign staff and has been in the administration, but not necessarily the lieutenant governor. Regardless of who's running it, there's a level of organization and communication going on in the preparation for each of these events. There is also rounded out reporting going back up as these events are going on. And we're seeing indications of very military style reporting. Military uses acronyms for everything. I've got more acronyms in my head than I know what to do with. I don't even know what half of them mean anymore. But they are using something that we used to call a salute report. It's an acronym, right? So there's reporting going on in these app channels, Pilot and some others, that say, size, there are 32 DHS agents. Activity, they are getting ready to raid at, and then L, location, and they would give street corners and locations, and then, and they're providing all this very regimented, very specific information, and it's going not just out, but it's going back up to the people that are reporting this. And then they're being organized, right? There's somebody who is organizing and saying, okay, we need X amount of people to go to this location. And then we need X amount of people to go to this location. And we need X amount of people to do this when you get there. And we need, and so right now it's Minnesota. It's a little bit of a microcosm. But we're seeing so much organization within this that it is very reminiscent to all of us, but also very disturbing for all of us at the same time that fought against this, because clearly someone who has the same level of education or the same level of study as most of us did is participating, or someone is smart enough to pull all the military doctrine for insurgency and counterinsurgency, and they're starting to apply it to what is going on in places like Minneapolis and Minnesota at large. It is very disturbing to me, especially when you put on top, there's a growth in nationwide, but a growth in Minnesota specifically of anti-ICE, never before gun owners going out and buying firearms.
Right.
Second Amendment, I'm all on board with it. If you want to buy a gun, I recommend you go get some training. You go do all the things that you're supposed to do. But the scary part is that if you take that and you put it on top of this potential insurgency that's brewing up there, now a pushing and shoving and throwing bricks and bottles of ice at DHS and police officers turns into legitimate firefight, and then we have a significant problem. But the biggest problem is that there is no one fighting against this locally. Governor Walz, Minneapolis Police Department, they are not participating in the efforts to find out who this is, to use their local contacts, to really gain any intelligence or information so that this can be at least analyzed and taken apart. It's very, very frightening.
Yeah, it is. And it feels like that state is like the test ground for everything that they want to do nationally. Like, doesn't it feel like everything is there right now? It feels hard, right?
It feels very, very familiar to me specifically because when I was in Baghdad in 2009, our area of operations was actually one of those areas. There was a terrorist organization called Kata'ib Hezbollah who used to use my battalion's area to test new IEDs, new detonations, all kinds of things. It was a test area. We would see things one time. We couldn't even come up with a way to counteract it because we'd never see it again, right? They would use a new detonation system to set things off. They would use new technology. They would use new, whatever it was. We would see all the one-offs. It was all an experimental area, and it was very, very frustrating because we couldn't do a lot about it.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like with Minneapolis. And so I had a discussion with somebody yesterday or the day before, because there is discussions about pull everybody out, pull DHS out, shut everything down, pull everybody out. Even Megyn Kelly, said, hey, they should tell all the illegal aliens in the United States, just go to Minneapolis, go to Minnesota, pull all of DHS out. And just tell them, be like, hey, any other state, you're going to get arrested, you're going to go to jail, but if you go to Minneapolis, you're fine. And just send them all up there. I actually think there's value in potentially pulling DHS out, giving everybody a breather, and then going and running these operations in another location. And then see if they can monitor, pick up, find any evidence of those same insurgency tactics being used in another location, and then see if they can figure out who's behind it. But it is all very, very scary. It's very, it's disturbing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, obviously we'll keep watching it. But, as we're talking, literally the whole time we're talking, so my mind works in mysterious ways. But one of the things that I always do, my default setting is to always go almost immediately to, how do we fix the problem? How do we fix this? How do you correct this? How do you right this, ship? And of course it needs to be done pretty quickly. So I obviously don't have the answers to that. And I'm putting you on the spot and wondering if you have any thoughts on how that can be done. And I know, I don't think I'm so special to be the only person thinking about solutions here. I know that. And I know the higher up, that the powers that be are, I would hope at least discussing this very same topic. But from our layman's perspective, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think a couple of things need to happen. One, there's got to be the anti-police sentiment across the United States has to be overcome. And I say overcome and not ignore. There's a reason, rational or not, there's a reason for the anti-police sentiment. Okay. People feel, again, rational or not, that the police are doing wrong, whether they've been that, whether they personal experience, seen it on TV, whatever. We've got all of these defund the police pockets all over the United States. It is what it is. I think the solution to that is community involvement. I think it is by the police. I think it is to community policing. It's truthfully what they were doing. That was the solution that was working in New York City under Mayor Giuliani. It was police on the street and interaction with people. And it's not always bad interaction with people, right? Like police should have conversations with people. All of that is good. Like just people passing by in the street, know who lives in your neighborhood, know who's not supposed to be there. Where did that car come from? Why are you out here at 3:00 in the morning? Right? All of those things. I think that right there, community involvement by the police, supported and encouraged by politicians, I think a lot to eliminate this firebed of crap that's going on across the country. That's my personal opinion. Yeah,
and I love that, and I think it's so much easier to do in small town capacity. It's so much harder to do in the cities because you're dealing with local government that is typically liberal and Democrat, and they don't want that to happen. And that's the real, that's like the dirty little secret that most people don't know, that they don't realize that the people who are shouting the loudest for reform and, activism and all of these things, they don't want the problem solved because then they're out of a job.
Correct.
So, that's the part to me that is so wildly frustrating and defeating. Like that's the part that feels so defeating to me, that the very people who are screaming the loudest in these cities and in these states for reform and better this and better that and change and all of these things, They don't actually, they're lying, bald-faced lying to people. They don't want it because they'll be out of a job. It's, I mean, you can equate that to a lot of different lanes, to big pharma and all of that stuff, anything like that, anything where somebody is profiting off of other people's illness, strife, tension, all of these things. If there's someone's profiting from it, you better damn well believe that they are not going to help be part of the solution. So it really, like you said, it really does come down to a combination of the people. It comes down to the people on those local levels, just freaking communicating and bypassing all of this BS. Get the hell off of mainstream media. Go out and talk to your neighbors, talk to people, just touch grass. Everybody, and I include myself in that, by the way, guys, because I get fired up, as we well know, I get fired up. We need to touch grass, talk to our neighbors, and get involved in things on a local level if we want to make some real positive, good change in the world. So there's my soapbox moment for today. All right. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. Well, now I'm going to get all fired up again, Clay. Just going to get angry all again. Oh, listen. So we've got, Kimmel crying again, his crocodile fake tears. And you've got Billie Eilish, and I'm sure half of our listeners don't even know who that is, but just, she's just a representative of, stars getting on their little high horses and lecturing everybody on what they should do. And then, of course, we have creepy little Colbert who wants to be a tough guy. Ready for to see him be a tough guy? Here you go, guys.
That's all the way up to Maine. It's frigid here in New York City. I want to thank everyone here who stood outside in the cold today before they came in. I think we can all agree, guys. Now,
oh, he's so tough with his F-ice. He's a big tough guy. Yeah. Give me a break. I thought he was canned. When is he going away?
I think it's May. I just saw a date. Today. I didn't truthfully pay all that much attention to it, but it is coming soon. He is done TV. And listen, I don't listen to any of them. There's repercussions like Mark Ruffalo losing his $500 million deal. You notice he hasn't said anything since Alex Petty, right? But
probably a little disappointed about that cash on that check.
Yeah. The reason why I don't pay attention to them is because, like you said, they're not actually trying to help. None of them are. And there are plenty of examples, and listen, folks, I'm not lambasting Hollywood, but because there are plenty of actors and actresses who have become politicians. And listen, I'll just run through like just a brief list, right, of people that both sides of the aisle. Clay Aiken, right, ran for office. Sonny Bono. Who else? Let's see. Clint Eastwood, obviously. Al Franken. Melissa Gilbert ran for office.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? You got Ronald Reagan. You got, all of these people. Richard Petty, for crying out loud, ran for office. Will Rogers, right? Jerry Springer, George Takei, Fred Thompson, right? Jesse Ventura. All these people ran for office because why? They wanted to help. They wanted to actually make a difference. So they put their Hollywood career to the side and they ran for office. And so they were willing to actually put their money where their mouth is and try and get involved in the American process to make things better. That's why I don't care about George Clooney's opinion or Mark Ruffalo's opinion or Billie Eilish's opinion or any of the rest of these people who run their mouth and they, and they do it from overseas. You've got Kristen Stewart who says she's going to make a big old splash because she's leaving America because she can't work, is her claim. I don't care. None of us should care. Truthfully, most people in Hollywood, barely got out of high school. Some of them didn't even do that, right? They're self-licking ice cream cones with the media. The media, makes them feel good. They puppet whatever the media says, but they don't do anything to actually help, right? And oh, by the way, using your platform is not helping.
Right.
Okay. So I don't buy it. I don't like it. I don't listen to them. And I personally don't care.
No. And anyone that does, I seriously question your sanity. I mean, really, and I'll tell you, anytime that I see an actor or celebrity, I guess we'll say, come out as conservative. Yeah, absolutely. I do a little, mental slow clap for them, and a nice, nice, pleasantly surprised reaction. However, their statements are not, like James Woods. I'm a James Woods fan. I was a James Woods fan as an actor long before any of this, always been. So yeah, when he came out on the conservative side and was very vocal and is very vocal, yeah, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Now, is James Woods the person that I go to for all of my, political information and how I determine what I'm going to think and feel? Of course not. So for anybody to be doing that with any celebrity, whatever side of things you are on, it's like, come on now, stop being silly. They're called actors for a reason. Their job is to perform, and they perform whether it's on the stage or on the screen or off the screen. And that is a perfect example of that. How do we know? Because what are they doing besides, saying a few words and on a, black, I like their dramatic videos, their PSAs that they put out, it's always like black and white dramatic, and they like, say their line and they take turn, it's like so stupid. I've mocked them many times. They've done like spoofs of that, but where are you putting your dollars? Your millions and millions of dollars that you make off of one movie, millions of dollars just to recite some lines and evoke some emotions with people. By the way, great job. Not knocking the talent. I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I think maybe I could, but whatever. Most of us can't.
Before people jump up and down, there is a guy who's an entertainer who decided to throw his hat in the ring and, kind of became president of the United States, and he's doing a hell of a job right now.
Yes.
Donald Trump is in that crowd too. No,
Yes.
we didn't miss him. It was kind of a 3-foot putt, and I decided not to mention that.
You're gonna.
What about Trump?
Yeah. How could you forget about him?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
He's in there too, folks. I didn't forget about him.
Yeah. Calm down.
But
Calm
he
down.
did. He did exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Right? Make America great again. That's what he wanted to do. Right?
Yeah.
Does it benefit him as a real estate guy? Sure it does. Right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
he did what we want American citizens to do,
Yes.
right? He jumped in there, he put his money where his mouth is,
Yeah.
and he ran and got elected twice to be president of the United States. And good for him,
Yeah.
right?
Listen,
more
I
can do it.
admire that. Whether I'm on the same political side as someone or not, I admire anyone who decides to do that. Decides to say, hey, listen, I've got these really strong opinions, and I'm, like you said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to, and I'm not going to just talk the talk. I'm actually going to walk the walk and throw my hat in and do the hard things. And, whatever happens, happens. But at least they tried. At least they tried. So,
And
yeah.
Folks, there will be folks in the comments that will criticize us
Mhm.
the exact same thing.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And listen, I catch it from my mom all the time. She tells me I should run for office. I'm not all the time. And
Yeah.
here's reality, folks. I put 27 years of government service in.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I paid my dues. I have served the government for a long, long time.
Yes, you have definitely paid your dues and then some. Yeah, absolutely. And as for me, yes, I have had people many times say, I wish you would run for office. I was like, it's not my lane. Not my lane. I know my lane. I know my skill set and politics. I'm honestly, I know you guys are going to have a hard time believing this, but I'm way too hot-headed for that. It's shocking. I know. It's shocking. I know. It's so shocking. Yeah. I do not have the skill and of reserve. I listen, like I said, I know my skill set, and politics is not it. It's just not. You send me in that faith-based direction any day, anytime, and be off like a rocket. But politics, no. I generally, the irony here, guys, is, Clay and I talk about this stuff every week. I talk about it on all of my content, or my version of talking about it. And but I will tell you, like most people, I hate politics. I hate everything about it. I think it's disgusting and gross and corrupt and bad. What we've done to it as people, as humans. That's my husband has always said. His favorite line is, what do people do, honey? He says to me, and I say, people ruin everything, because that's what, that's the line. That's what he says. People ruin everything. Everything that is good, humans will find a way to ruin it. And endless examples. Let's see. Which one do you want to do? Like,
You pick.
let's talk about Let's talk about this. Can we skip to this one? Is that okay?
100%.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So this just happened the other day. As you guys probably know and remember, but if you're new to the show, you don't know this, that Clay and I record on Wednesday and we air the show on Thursday. It's a timing thing, just coordinating our schedules, all of that stuff. So we cover the previous week's goings on and the first half of this week. So yeah, so this will be, a couple days old by the time you guys are seeing this. So here's my here's my thought on this. The minute I watched the video, I honestly thought right away, I was like, did they plan that? Did they script it? Because it's really cheesy. That's the nicest way I could say it. It's so cheesy. First of all, she gets sprayed. First of all, there's a point where it looks like she kind of nods to the guy. Does she? I don't know. It just kind of looks that way. She gives him okay, now.
Wait, hold on. Folks, before we go too far, this is about...
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ilhan Omar was holding a press conference night before, where someone who was sitting in a chair 4 feet away from her got up, sprayed an unknown liquid in her face, and then was grabbed by security and removed. So this is Elsa's reaction to what happened.
Sorry, guys. I treated this segment as if it were the thoughts in my head. I'm one of those women that will be having a conversation in my head and then just start saying it out loud. And usually it's my poor husband who's like, "What are you talking about?" I just did that to you guys. Thank you, Clay, for clarifying. But yeah, so that's that. So yeah, it just looks really fake. When you're let's pretend. Let's just pretend that I'm an attacker or you're an attacker and you've got a substance that you're going to spray at somebody because you want to scare them or cause some physical discomfort, whatever your intentions, big or small. I'm thinking I'm not going to aim for your chest, your clothing. I'm thinking I'd probably try and go for your face because I want to blind you or, but he sprays her in the chest.
I'm also not going to choose apple cider vinegar as the substance that I'm going to spray you with.
Right. Yeah. And, just the whole body, and I'm not a body language expert. I'm just an average person saying what I see here, calling out what I see. Now, her response and reaction, she braced herself for it. And her immediate reaction was to go after him, to go chase him down and get him. I just don't really believe that was a instinctual, natural response. The whole thing smells like BS to me. What do you think?
It's got Jussie Smollett written all over it.
Yes.
Right? Smollett, right? As Dave Chappelle calls him Juicy Smollett. But this is when the Smollett thing happened, I am the first person that I know the following morning when it hit the newswire. I was like, this is 100% BS. I did not react as quickly to this one, but my feeling is exactly the same. There are so many holes in this. She's a sitting member of the House of Representatives, right? This guy that sprayed her, who didn't do a good job of clearing out his entire social media background, is way, way left. He's got pronouns, trans kids. He's got all of this. He is all of those things. He got into the front row. He decided to use, again, apple cider vinegar to spray her with. He was allowed to stand up and close the distance with her, spray her, and then step away from her before any of the security reacted to what was going on.
Right. And by the way, very small space, right?
Right.
Very small space.
She didn't flinch.
No.
She didn't shy away. She went right after him. She went and washed her face off right away. There was no concern about biohazard. There was no get her to the hospital, evacuate the room. Nobody else was cleared out of the room. She washed her face and came back and kept talking. Right. This is 100% garbage.
It's so silly. It's
garbage.
So silly. It's so embarrassing. And what the story that they wanted to run this with is look at how violent the right is that they're attacking. Because the backroom discussion had to have been listen, we're looking really bad with all these attacks, but if it looks like they're attacking us, we've got something to say here. Idiots.
I think this was an attempt to deflect away from them going through her finances.
Oh, yeah.
100%. This is the same, again, it's Jussie Smollett. It's the exact same thing. And they are going to find very, very quickly that there was some sort of communication between this guy and someone connected with her, and it's all going to come apart and she is going to be in more legal trouble because this is a form of interference. It's a form of fraud. Like there's all of the things that are going to go on top of this, just like Smollett did, right? He got nailed because he wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Chicago Police Department in the investigation. The exact same thing is going to happen because this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling it now. If you're not a believer, this is all BS. It's garbage.
Completely. So I can't stand her and I'm embarrassed for her. Oh, that was so lame. Last thing, we're just about out of time, but we promised that we would be taking a look into that comment section to see what y'all had to say. So Clay, I didn't even ask if you pulled any up. I did pull up. I have two for us. Okay.
No, you beat me to it.
I mean, it's only fair. You didn't get all of our topics first. I think it's the least I could do here. So listen, I want to start with a nice one. Starting with a nice one here, Clay. And guess who it's for? Not me. It's for you. This is for anybody listening. Candy said, I do appreciate you breaking this all down so I understand what's actually going on in regards to Greenland. And, I completely agree with Candy because I don't really understand it very well. And so I also thank you, but it was really great that Candy got that from last week's episode. And you really did. I got to say, you really did break it down so well. Like it was so clear and easy to understand because most people, and I include myself in that, don't follow this stuff that heavily. Like we kind of get the little sound bites and stuff, but we don't really understand. And let's face it, life is busy. We're overwhelmed with all of the things that get thrown at us all day long that you're like, yeah, I want to know, but I just can't dive into that right now. And you broke it down so quickly and easily for everyone, myself included. So it was great. My second reason for wanting to put that up there, Clay, is because, we were talking last week, man, they throw punches at you in that comment section a lot of times. So I'm like, this guy needs and I know you're tough and you can handle it just fine, but, let's give him an attaboy here.
Thank you for taking my sensitive side into account. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. I've said this before. I am a fierce defender of my people in my life. So that includes you, Clay. So I will go to fisticuffs for you. Oh, and then speaking of fisticuffs, then we've got this guy. So my favorite thing among many things, and of course I mean this sarcastically, is the people who drop in the comment section with their memes. Like they just drop a meme and they're like, like they're dropping a truth bomb at everybody. This is another one of those stupid guys. If you're listening, it's a meme with a picture of Alex Preddy and a DHS officer face to face. It's just a still shot of them. You can see in the picture that Preddy is holding his cell phone up. And the caption is, in Trump's America, a camera is considered a weapon. Why? Because it's loaded with the ammunition they fear most of all, the truth. That's his meme. I mean, listen, it's so dumb. I honestly just wanted to share it because it's just so dumb. You're throwing a meme up in a comment section isn't the winning argument that you think it is. It's lazy. It's cheap. Has maybe most times like the most vague ounce of truth to it, but it's mostly just inflaming and stupidity. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, one of my pet peeves, and I've said this a number of times because I have people that have come after me, all over social media for a number of reasons, and it's always the same people who generate no original thought or no original content. And so that gentleman, Deacon, whatever his name was, again, that's not original thought. That is him dumping somebody else's thought, somebody else's meme that he pulled from somewhere else, and he's using it to send some sort of message. I know people, friends and family, acquaintances, even people I don't know, who do nothing but, literally nothing but post some big long thing that somebody else has written, and at the top they'll just say this.
Yeah.
Yes. And they generate no original thought, no analysis, no original content, nothing. Literally, it's everything from everybody else. And it is like the number one indicator to me that you are a lemming. You really are a lemming. If you don't produce anything of your own and all you do is push everybody else's crap, you have no original thought. And truthfully, I have not the time nor the inclination to read whatever it is that you're putting up.
Yeah. On the rare occasion that I click on these people's profiles, before I do it, I make a little bet with myself. And the bet is usually, it's going to be one of two things. They have almost next to nothing on their profile, or it is all memes, anti-Trump memes, everything with this administration or anyone who, is MAGA. In 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, I'm 100% correct. Every single time, every single post. There is nothing about loved this wonderful day with my family. Took this great picture of this scenery, went to this trip, did this really nice, fun thing. Thank you to nothing positive, nothing productive, nothing kind, nothing useful. Meme after meme after meme after meme. And that's enough. That's all I don't even click on them anymore, but for a period of time, I would be curious enough to take a peek to see what they're all about. And sure enough, that's all it is. And, quite frankly, I find it depressing. Yeah. It makes me so sad for their families. This is the person you guys have to deal with everything. Yep. I could just block them and delete them, but you're stuck with them. Oh, you poor things. So listen, sad.
I am much more apt to listen to you, to listen to your opinion if I see things like, I read this article, here's the link. Here's what I took from this. Yeah. Here's what I believe. I think this, even if you say, I think the author's full of crap and the article's garbage, express something. Do some analysis of your own. But that whole this, or I can't even, or the meme, or those kinds of things, if that is, like you said, if that is your content, and that is all your content is, don't expect me to take you seriously. I'm just not going to do it.
No, it's impossible. And any comment, anything along those lines in the comments sections, I can guarantee to you, you're not going to get a reaction. You're not going to get a response. You're not going to get anything. If you're going to throw out the cliche, maggots, that's one of my other favorites. Oh, you're another maggot, blonde bimbo, bearded guy. I did see somebody, since I didn't even bother capturing it, somebody said, why the brick wall? Dude, it's a... It's not a real brick wall. It's just a backdrop, okay? I don't know. Do you want to see the soundproofing in my studio? I can do that for you if you want, but I don't want to look at soundproofing behind me. So calm down. Care less about stupid things. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that was fun. Actually, I actually really like this segment.
I do too. I think it's great. We're going to keep doing this. I like it.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to try and do that. One nice one spicy one, right? Sure. Yeah. That's kind of fun. Okay. Oh my goodness, guys, that was a lot of fun. Even the tough topics, it's, when I say fun, when we're talking about tough topics, what I mean is that I like the dialogue. I like the, perspective, back and forth sharing. So, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Clay, I'm giving it to you to close them out. You know the deal.
Hey, folks, we appreciate you. We appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. Maybe you'll get picked and get put in there next week, and we'll talk about you, and we'll put your name up there. But as always, from me, until then, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.
The headlines will change by tomorrow, but the patterns won't. Thanks for spending this time with us. We'll be back to keep asking the harder questions and telling the quieter truths. Until then, stay grounded, be discerning, and we'll see you next time.